All right, folks, this is Harris Sultan. So, right here in Australia, an Islamist decides to go full Islamic and kills 14 people out of his hatred for the Jewish people. Our government, in return, decides to take away the guns of law-abiding Australians.
We expect hundreds of thousands of firearms will be collected and destroyed through this scheme. Consistent with the approach that was taken in 1996, the government is proposing that states and territories will be responsible for the collection, processing and payment to individuals for surrendered firearms. The Australian Federal Police will then be responsible for the destruction of these firearms.
There are 4 million firearms in Australia, and every year we have 2 to 3 firearm-related deaths. But the solution that the Australian government came up with was to take away all guns. So I know a lot of hunters and farmers who have been law-abiding people who need guns. They're very angry. The other solution that the Australian government came up with is that the far right is a growing problem in Australia. So we need to start restricting people's speech.
We live in a more dangerous world in 2025. The threat of anti-Semitism, as we have seen, is very real. Threats of other occurrences, such as the rise in the far right, which has also been identified, of course, by Mike Burgess, is also a threat as well.
Actually, let me start this video by playing you the video of Chris Minns, who is New South Wales Premier. Bondi Beach is in New South Wales. Let's see what he has to say.
There's been some that have been agitating in the parliament to nullify the laws, to remove them off the statute books. Think about what kind of toxic message that would send to the New South Wales community. And I think the advocates for those changes need to explain, what do they want people to have the right to say? What kind of racist abuse do they want to see or be able to lawfully see on the streets of Sydney? I recognise, and I've fully said from the beginning, that we don't have the same freedom of speech laws that they have in the United States. And the reason for that is that we want to hold together our multicultural community and have people live in peace, free from the kind of vilification and hatred that we do see around the world.
Is America not a multicultural country? Do people not get along in America? They even have guns. Yeah, I know, school shootings, totally different issue. And all other gun-related deaths are gang-related. So ordinary people have guns, and how do they get along so well? Multiculturalism in America has been going on for far longer than Australia. Australia had a white Australia policy up until very recently, up until the 50s or the 60s, I believe. So if they can do it, why can't we do it? Now, of course, giving racist abuse is abhorrent. We will always have societal norms, and most people do not cross those norms. But when you start restricting people's speech in the name of curbing hate speech, where do you stop? Will I be allowed to criticize Islam? Will I be allowed to call out the bad apples of the Muslim community? Or I'm going to get a knock on my door, as this Australian Federal Police officer is saying.
Actually, the National Security Investigations teams are a flying squad of hate disruptors who focus on high harm, high impact, politically motivated violence, communal violence, and hate crimes that don't meet the threshold for terrorism investigations, but that we know drive fear and division.
So you might be saying something that is not going to meet the threshold of terrorism, kind of like what Islamists say, that we need jihad, we need to do this, civilizational win, blah, blah. Does this meet the threshold?
My brothers and my sisters in Islam, victory is coming. And you and I, inshallah, because we love Allah and we love His Prophet, we are on that path to victory. We are on that path of this civilizational struggle where we're going to see Islam dominate, where we're going to see Islam bring about justice to every corner.
What about this one? Does that meet the threshold? This was on the 9th of October 2022, right after Hamas had killed 1,200 Israelis.
Smiling and I'm happy. I'm elated. It's a day of courage. It's a day of happiness. It's a day of pride. It's a day of victory. This is the day we've been waiting for.
This this is the day we've been waiting for. Kill as many Israelis as possible. And we succeeded. That's what he's saying. He's happy. Look at him, how happy and excited he is. Is that what she's talking about? Is that within that threshold or just below that threshold that up until now we couldn't act on them? But now with these new laws, it's not directly calling out for terror. If that's what they mean, then that's okay. You know what? This is why I'm actually a little bit confused. I'm not sure if I should fully condemn these measures. I'm not sure about that, because if these new laws are going to tackle these people, then I'm happy with that. Maybe then we don't need American style free speech. Okay, I'm okay with this. So I don't know. Maybe you guys can let me know in the comments below. I am not fully condemning this government yet on these steps. Yeah, I think guns are not the problem. It's the Islamic ideology that's the problem, or Islam is the problem here. We've been begging, guys. We've been begging our Australian government for years to do something about these people. They're openly saying things, but they're just below the threshold. They're not literally saying that, okay, go and do it, but they just show support for those people who do it. That's a little bit trickier. So what laws are they going to use to arrest those people or cancel their citizenships, for example? So maybe that's what the new laws are coming. I don't know. But does that mean that they can use them against people like me too? That, hey, you're spreading hate against the Muslim community? I don't know that. In that case, of course, I'm not going to be happy. So I don't know. Let's listen to the rest of her speech. This bit got me a bit worried.
This is all about stopping hate and division earlier and well before it leads to violence. So far, this crack squad has charged 14 individuals across 13 investigations. And of those, 4 individuals across 4 operations were charged for offences relating to anti-Semitism. So
out of 14, 4 were anti-Semitism related. I wonder what the other 10 were. I'm assuming they would be those neo-Nazis or the far right, okay? Because I haven't had a knock on my door yet. I'm expecting one, okay?
The teams were responsible for a recent week-long national blitz on the distribution and display of prohibited symbols, and for charging a passenger who only this week allegedly threatened violence toward a member of the Jewish community on a flight from Bali to Sydney. The announcement today to boost the numbers of our hate disruptors, as well as planned changes to lower the threshold for hate speech, will make it easier for the AFP to take action quicker. It could be the difference between us just knocking on a door to warn an individual to an individual being placed in handcuffs.
So there is a difference. There are different degrees. There could be a knock on the door, which I am expecting. I don't know. Maybe they won't. I don't know. I don't think that I have ever incited violence. I'm a pretty loose cannon on Twitter, but even there, I never crossed that threshold of violence. And I would say the same thing to you guys as well. Don't be reckless. If you get into a heated argument, do not incite violence. Never give out a violent threat, because they'll be watching. They're going to come on to us. This is fast becoming a police state. Maybe they have to become a police state for a little bit in order to police the badly behaving Muslims. Otherwise, how are you going to do it? They can't just pick Muslims from their houses and say, sorry, off you go to Afghanistan. They can't do that, okay? They need a reason. So that's why they're enacting these new laws. As I said, only time will tell whether these laws are totally draconian or they are a necessary evil for the time being. So I don't know that, okay? I don't know that. Don't judge me, but I'm not going to bite the head off this government just yet, despite the fact that I genuinely think that Anthony Albanese is the worst prime minister in Australian history. There was a video that appeared recently where in his younger years, he was sitting with Yasser Arafat.
Well, tonight, to our continuing expose of Anthony Albanese's history as a pro-Palestinian activist. I can reveal Albanese met with the late Palestinian president, Yasser Arafat, 2 years before he, Albanese, protested against Israel during the Second Intifada. And that was the violent Palestinian uprising that included terror attacks. Our now Prime Minister took part in a rally in Sydney where Israeli and American flags were burned. Here is a photograph that captured that moment. You can see Albanese sitting on the far left of the screen. Albanese and the group also went to a dinner in Gaza, which I'm told was attended by about 60 PLO officials, all men. Albanese was an activist for the Palestinian cause. During the Second Intifada, according to left-wing news website Crikey, Albanese joined pro-Palestinian protests against Israel, where American and Israeli flags were burned.
The response of Israel has been to meet children throwing rocks with helicopter gunships, with tanks and with missiles.
Now, that vision we first obtained here on this show, but Crikey placed it to during the Second Intifada. And as you saw, that was Albanese yelling into the megaphone at the protest when Israelis, at the time, during the Second Intifada, Israelis were being killed in suicide bombings.
This is the reason why he decided to reward Hamas with a state of their own. He's a massive pro-Palestine fan.
I'm pleased to be here with Minister Wong to announce that effective today, Sunday, the 21st of September 2025, the Commonwealth of Australia recognises the state of Palestine.
We were shocked when we heard those Muslims at the Sydney Opera House chant, "Gas the Jews, gas the Jews." And then just this year, on the anniversary of 7th of October, they were saying, "Where's the Jews? Where's the Jews?" But no action was taken against them. So now they're saying that we are going to take action against them. As a matter of fact, they have actually today banned the Hizb-ut-Tahrir. I've been asking for that organization to be banned for a very long time. But they're also curbing the neo-Nazis as well.
And finally, on listing prohibited hate organisations. I've spoken before about my disgust for a very long time at organisations like Hizb-ut-Tahrir and the National Socialist Network, otherwise known as the neo-Nazis.
The NSN is full of really wacky, crazy neo-Nazis. They say it themselves that they're neo-Nazis, okay? So I'm not a fan of those people.
These organisations, for a long time, have been able to take hate right to the threshold without using the words violence and escape any further terrorist listing. We will be establishing a new form of listing for those who do not meet the terrorist organisations, of being able to prescribe organisations. I'm asking my department, as the drafting is done, to check it against previous behaviour of Hizb-ut-Tahrir and the National Socialist Network. Their behaviour needs to be unacceptable. Their behaviour needs to be unlawful. Their behaviour needs to be enough that we can prescribe the organisation and prohibit their activity in Australia.
Both of these organizations, I have no love for them, okay? I understand the implication that you guys would say that, hey, Harry, it's just a matter of time. Today they're coming for them. Tomorrow they're going to come after you. Look, I fully understand that logic. But I also understand that if we want to shut down the Islamists, I'm in the process, I don't care about these neo-Nazis. If they're gone, disappear, I don't care. One thing I do know for sure, that they are not the solution to curbing the rise of Islamism. And I do know that the vast majority of Australian public, they are not neo-Nazis. They're not. But I also understand that when you start banning native organizations, they somehow get more support. What's going to be the outcome of that? I don't know. This is why sometimes people say that leave these people alone, otherwise you make a martyr out of them. So I understand that implication as well. I saw Laura Loomer's tweet, which was incredibly stupid. She was saying that we don't need to restrict speech. You just need to start kicking out Muslims. How can you do that? You're not going to go door to door and say, are you a Muslim? Okay, off you go. You can't do that. You need some sort of a framework. And what can be the framework? As Tony Burke said, that if they don't use the word violence because they know that's the threshold, then they operate in and around that. They operate in the periphery of that. Well, we know what they want. Hizb-ut-Tahrir is on record. The spokesperson for Hizb-ut-Tahrir, Uthman Badr, I debated with him back in 2018. He said more or less, I'm paraphrasing, we want to use free speech to end free speech, basically, because he was saying that we want to use free speech to establish Sharia in Australia.
Well, joining me now to discuss some of the issues that were raised over the weekend is Uthman Badar, the Australian spokesperson for Hizb-ut-Tahrir. Thank you very much for your time. You denounce democracy. You want fundamentalist Islamic law to spread across the globe. Your organisation has a fuzzy position at best on violent resistance. Why shouldn't Australians view you with fear and suspicion? The argument is that you are entitled to have a robust discussion because of the very democracy that you denounce.
Well, what's wrong with us holding different views then, Tracy?
Well, because
we're not violent, we're not telling anyone to harm anyone.
Democracy,
we're saying we've got different opinions.
Because it's a central plank of democracy and you denounce it. Do you not see an hypocrisy there?
So I want to get this straight. So democracy says you cannot have a different view about democracy. That would be quite ironic, Tracy.
You denounce democracy and you exploit the very freedoms that democracy gives you. Do you not see that? Is that not something you will...
I think the hypocrisy is on the part of those who, on the one hand, say you got all these freedoms, but as soon as you come up with a different opinion, they want you to go back or to demonise you and to do all this fear mongering.
All right, we thank you very much for your time. You've certainly had an opportunity to express your view.
These guys have no hope in hell, but to say it with such straight face, only a fanatic can believe with such conviction. So I think we do need a framework. I think we need to be patient. I'm at the front line, as I said. I also think that maybe if they're going to use these laws to shut down legitimate conversation, then I'm going to be getting a knock on my door too. And I'm fully prepared for that. I will need your support, however, if we do go down that route, because if they come and knock on my door, then it means they're not interested in curbing violence. They are interested in shutting down genuine conversation, which obviously is an attack on a free Western liberal democracy that Australia is. And we cannot afford that. But as I said, only time will tell. That's it from me. Until next time.